Hey, it's John, and there are a lot of different ways to finish things, and sometimes you need a finish that's a little bit more durable than a paint. And I'm going to show you a tool that I've picked up in the last couple of months, and it's proven to be extremely helpful for what I do, and not just things that I show on the channel, but in other pursuits and hobbies and just things around the house. I'm going to give you a look at the powder coating system by Central Machinery that I picked up at Harbor Freight. I picked up for right around $60. $60 and a couple dollars for some additional powder coat colors, and I was able to easily get into the world of powder coating. Now, why did I do this? Well, I bought a car this spring and did some work to it and wanted to dress things up a little bit. And I started to look and see what the cost of powder coating, the intake and the valve cover and a couple other things on the engine of that car were. And after I saw a couple $100 and I started looking and I started thinking, well, I could use one of those things for a lot of other things outside of just this project. So I did some research, did some looking around, and picked up essentially the cheapest powder coating system that I could find to see how well it worked. And let me tell you, it has worked very, very well for me so far. So let's take a look at it right now here on 9142 Props and Armory. So what do you get for just over $60 at your local Harbor Freight? I'll put links to this product down in the description, and also it is available to purchase on Amazon as well if you don't have a Harbor Freight or they don't ship to you, or whatever the case may be, as another avenue for you to get yourself a unit as well. So for $60, what you get in the box, you get this box here, and inside you get your gun. You get the control unit for that gun. You get essentially this, a couple containers for powder, and that's what you get. But the good thing is that's really all you need in order to do it outside of an air compressor. You need to be able to supply between 7 and 10 psi to the powder coating system. So you need a decent air compressor. It doesn't need to be a huge one. I'm running off an old 3.5 or 4 gallon Craftsman 3/4 horse air compressor, and it's not a problem at all. So you need an air source, you need the kit, you need some powder coating materials, and then you're going to need an oven. Powder coating works. It's a fairly simple system. You take a paint powder, put it into a gun. You use air pressure to move that powder out of the gun, and you electrify the metal part that you are going to finish, and you put the opposite charge through the gun and the opposite charge to that through the metal part that you're going to be finishing, and that powder, as it comes out, will be attracted to the opposite charge on your metal part and will stick to it. After that happens, you take your metal part, which is coated in powder, you put it in an oven, and you bake it for a period of time depending on the powder coat that you are using. And when you're done, you get a super hard, durable, and long-lasting finish. Let's see how it works. Again, very simple. You need your air supply to your gun. You need to fill it with your powder coating material. The stuff that I'm using on this is just going to be the stuff from Harbor Freight. It's $6 or $7 for a pound of it. You can purchase other powder coat in any color you could possibly think of or imagine at other places like Prismatic Powders online, where I bought a couple of things that I'll show you on the car that I did in just a little bit. So you get your air hooked up, you get your power hooked up to the unit. Essentially is all the setup that you have to do. Alright, so this part is really the simple part of things. So all we're going to do is attach the electrode that's attached to the control box to your metal part. Then we're going to grab the gun and we're just going to pull on the trigger. Now as we get close to this, and we have a pedal down here to allow us to turn on the charge to the gun, And we're going to just kind of run this guy, let the powder come out. And it's not the most fast process by any means. It takes a few minutes to get something coated, and you want to kind of go a little bit slower. Fast is not something that's better when you're doing this. So you're just going to kind of run the gun, and I found that if you tap on this guy a little bit as you're running it, you get a better, smoother flow of powder out of the gun. So we're just going to coat our parts. Don't get too close or you'll get an arc. Don't do that. And we just want a really good even coat on this guy. Now you have to play around a little bit with your angles to get powder on everything. And sometimes you're going to have to do more than a single coat on here. You know, the surface of this muffler is in pretty bad shape. And quite honestly, this is kind of an experiment to see how tough the powder coat really is. If I put it on the exhaust from the lawnmower, is it going to stand up, or is it going to just bake right off of there and cook off like paint does? Unless you use like a ceramic paint. So I'm just kind of trying to see how much it can take. Because it's been on my valve cover and my intake on my car for a couple months now, and it's been holding up great. But this is a new challenge here. What we have is what I call a respectable coat on all of our parts for the muffler. So at this point, we're going to disconnect our electrode, our leads, turn off the unit, and you wouldn't know that the walker from when I broke my leg would be such a really nice and handy place and rack to set up parts on. But it works really well. So let me get the oven out. We're going to cook this stuff and see how it comes out. So let me grab the toaster oven real quick. And I do have a bigger oven that I've made, and I'll show that in another video if you guys want to see a little bit more of that. And the question always is what kind of oven can I use, and where, and can I do it in my house, and all these other kind of things people always wonder. But I'm going to show you a little toaster oven that I found by the side of the road that I'm going to use to cook the paint out here. You don't need anything fancy. Hang on real quick, and I'll get that going. So parts are in the oven. I'm going to close it up. I'm going to turn it to 400 degrees. And let it go. We'll see you in 20 minutes. All right, 20 minutes have gone by. Your times for baking different powder coats are going to vary. Temperatures are going to vary. This particular white from Harbor Freight requires 400 degrees from the time that the coating melts. After that happens, 15 to 20 minutes of baking at 400 degrees in order to finish that process. The process is done. Let's grab this out and take a look and see how it looks. Well, let's just kind of go about it this way. All right, so 400 degrees, 15 to 20 minutes, and we have a powder-coated muffler. Now, how well is this powder coat going to stand up to being on a muffler that gets obscenely hot? I don't know. It could burn all off in the first time I cut the grass with it, but that's okay. It's just a test, and I wanted to show you how it worked over a less than perfect surface, which is exactly what this muffler was. So typically I would hang this up to bake in my larger oven, which if you'd like to see that a little bit more about that and how to go about making a larger oven or what types of ovens you can use to bake your powder coating in, let me know down in the comments below, and I'll do another video on that and show you my my lovely oven that I made for doing just that. So for now, we're going to let this cool down for just a moment. I'm going to throw it on to where it goes, and we're going to call things just about done. But surface finish is very nice. It is by far from perfect. I have a couple scuff marks on there where this laid down on the rack just because I wasn't hanging it as it was baking, which again is the ideal way to do so. But on the whole, for a surface that looked terrible to start out, I'm pretty happy with how things look. So no complaints there. So let's throw this on the lawnmower and we'll see how it looks in place. So everything has cooled down, I think, enough. We're going to go ahead and put this back in place on the lawnmower that it's going onto. And if you're watching this, you're getting a first look at my nearly completed and restored 1987 Snapper rear engine 25-inch cut mower that I'm going to be using for my Halloween costume this year when I dress up like Forrest Gump and drive around the neighborhood. It's almost done. If you want to see a little bit more about that, there'll be a card up above there, a little link to click on, and you can see a little bit about that costuming project that I'm doing. So I did promise that I was going to show the reason that I bought this, and this is the engine compartment of my 2004 PT Cruiser GT with a 2.4 liter turbo engine, and I wasn't happy with the way things looked on the inside. So I set out to change some colors to dress things up a little bit, and I did the valve cover and the intake manifold. Both were just a standard cast aluminum color and very plain. So I finished them in powder coat I bought from Prismatic Powders. The blue that I used on the valve cover looked something close to a more modern Mopar blue. It's metallic, it is beautiful, it has been clear coated, and the intake manifold is a lovely matte black. So am I happy with a $60 powder coating system from Harbor Freight? Absolutely, it works wonderfully. If you need a project where you need to create a durable finish over a metal surface, there is no better way that I have found to do so cheaply and effectively than with a powder coating system that you could purchase and use in your own shop. So it's John, it's 9142 Props and Armory. Thanks for watching. Be sure to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so yet. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.